What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, and it's the best day of the year. It's not Christmas. It's not the Super Bowl. It's not any of those other days. It is the first Thursday of March Madness, and I'm fired up. My Jayhawks play tonight. Can't wait to see that one. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk. But before that, we're going to break down last night's Dynamite. Speaking of March Madness, we had some madness in that one. We're going to break that down. We're going to need some people with some sturdy opinions here. First and foremost, I know one that's got some pretty firm objections and opinions at times. In fact, he's the head of opinions all the way out in Philadelphia, repping it with the P on his hat. Anthony, what's going on? Happy Thursday.
I'm doing all right, Clark. I mean, honestly, I'm not pizza. I can't make everybody happy with my opinions. But yeah, this is obviously an exciting day, especially, the March Madness stuff. I understand why Clark's reluctance of the Super Bowl, considering how that ended up. Sorry, had to. But yeah, it's always fun to do these. And a wild Dynamite, I don't know what other way to say it just for the intro. It's something.
It was interesting to say the very least. But speaking of interesting, I'm gonna next send this one across the pond to a guy that definitely didn't go to a university that's in the tournament this week, but I know he's stoked to be here to break down wrestling, and that is my good friend Big Arch, as they like to call him the kids these days. Archie Carter, what's up, boss?
I'm doing good, mate. It's been a beautiful day here in the UK today, which is unprecedented for us. So I've spent the day spending some time with my dogs in the beautiful sun, and now I'm coming on to break down AEW Dynamite with the throwback OGs. So yeah, pretty good day, and let's get into it.
I'm absolutely fired up about it. Let's get right to it, though. Let's talk about that main event, or not main event, but the title match.
Yeah.
Moxley and Cope, the artist formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland, if you prefer. But let's get right into the meat of this. And when I'm talking about the meat, I'm talking about the meat that was taken off of Jon Moxley's back.
I assume that pun was intended, but yes.
Yeah.
That was violent. I've seen a lot of horror
To say the
movies.
least.
It's pretty wild stuff. I've seen some of the, the stuff that they don't even allow on YouTube. Some craziness. That was visceral. I will say this. It's absolutely memorable. It's absolutely memorable. It was crazy. It was crazy. The more I think about it, I'm like, you know what? People have been so critical of Jon Moxley for being too violent. He's not afraid to be that violent. The only person that was really affected by this that badly was Renee Paquette, because she obviously has to tend to those wounds in the hotel that evening. Dude,
I'm sure
those won't just heal.
I'm sure
she on your stomach for 2 weeks situation.
I am totally sure she was by the monitor going, "Oh joy!"
I mean, the pulling it out was worse than. Yeah,
just don't even...
Woo, gives you the heebie-jeebies. I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, you know how some of those like crazy horror movies, they pass out barf bags at the movie theater. I'm like, they ought to do that for the next big Moxley like deathmatch type match like that. Like, and AEW logo them. You can have them signed for merch. That's one of those things that, like, as crazy as this was, and as easy as it is to be like, it was too much. Like, man, you can actually kind of piggyback off that. That was my idea. I'm like, how do you spin this so it's fun? Next time it's a Moxley main event match, that's for sure going to be very, very violent. Put barf bags on the chairs. People will eat that up. People love that, right? Like, I was there with the, you know what I mean? That's just a fun. That was one thing that I thought this morning coming out of it. Like, I mean, you just don't see violence like that on network television often. Like, they censor movies that are that violent, I actually did enjoy it at the end of the day, as crazy as it was, because I thought, heck, they're already here and they just kept pushing it and pushing it. It's still hard for me to believe, though, that at the end of the day, Jon Moxley walked out of there with the same title he walked in with. That's kind of where I personally draw the line. I don't know how. I guess if you get stuck in the back that badly, it's extra motivation to get your shoulders off the mat. But at the same time, it does seem to be a compromising situation to follow that spot with a loss. Anthony, can you make some sense of this? How did you feel about it? Did it make you queasy? What were your thoughts?
Oh, there's not enough time to make sense of this whole Death Rider storyline. Honestly, I think if I was on Take It to the Table, that table would be torched beyond recognition to cover that thing. It is really sad, Clark, that your morning thoughts are going, how do we positively make this spin? Oh, I know, give out barf bags. Like it's sad that they forced you into that position where you're drinking your morning coffee and going, yeah, barf bags, that'll solve everything. No, Edge tenderized in the most violent way, Moxley. From a business standpoint, I can't imagine TBS and the people at Turner would be entirely thrilled about this. To be perfectly honest, I mean, people got mad with the pizza cutter during the ad break years ago with Gage and Jericho. But this whole Death Rider story has been garbage this entire time. The fact that you are, I don't even know how many months into this thing at this point, and nobody knows why they're taking over, because they're not running the company. They're not taking anything over. Every episode, they go, Tony Khan booked this, Tony Khan booked that. Well, then, but no, what are they taking over? We all know the belt is not in that briefcase. As Clark and I have said multiple times on this show, that briefcase is not big enough to hold the belt. And how do I know that? Because I have plenty of belts. And I have the AEW one. I'm telling you, that thing's not fitting in the briefcase. It's a shame that Copeland storyline is just they're dragging this out. Like I never thought they were going to give it to Cope unless they decided to kill this Death Riders thing, which they should have, and put it out of its misery, because I don't think it's salvageable. And then you throw in a new twist after their horrible Revolution match. You throw in a new twist of going, oh, now Dax has a problem with Copeland. I'm like, really? You have tag team problems as it is in the company. The one established reliable team you have, let's break them up too.
See, I don't think they're going to break up. That was what was interesting. I think Dax was the first two. I think the direction is they go together, but Cash takes more convincing.
Even if they do that, what sense does this make? You're going to turn them heel now to do what? What is the benefit of this? Are you going to have them join the Death Riders? Or are they just going to be a separate group that doesn't like Edge? So now you have Death Riders, Christian's group of people, and everyone's fighting Cope, but no one's trying to defend the company. Is that where we're at now?
That's the hard part, is nobody's really stepped up, and that's where I think it's got to be Swerve at some stage. It obviously wasn't last night, but when it comes to the FDR thing, hold on for a second, because I was very fascinated by that. I've always actually thought FTR operated better in general as heels. Truthfully, I just think that's the deal.
They do,
right? So I don't hate them turning, but I didn't necessarily like the way they turned. I don't know.
To me, that was not the time to do it. If AEW's dragging this out for the guy on Death Mountain to come back to end this, it's a mistake, because the story's going too long.
Well, I was also sitting there thinking, like, okay, when it comes to the FTR angle here, at least let us soak in just how gnarly and violent the match we just witnessed was, because then I had to shut my brain back on as soon as that part, right? Like, I needed to just sort of sit in it for a second. And then playing Edge's music again with Willow was great. I was all over that. I thought that was cool. If it's not for the FTR aspect, right? Like, he deserved the round of applause leaving the match. It was pure violence. He put on a heck of a show. That's my thing, is like, it took away from the impact of, like, we needed to sit in that, like, what did we just witness?
That, to me, if you were going that violent, and this is the last thing I'm going to say because I know we got to get to Archie. If you're going to go that violent and you're going to do that moment that's nauseating, that people are going to be talking about, then you don't do a bunch of run-ins. You don't do the FDR turn. It's putting too much into a match, and then the only thing people remember is it was a convoluted mess and the spike spot. Like, you didn't help this Moxley angle. You've just made it worse.
It's weird. It's weird. I mean, obviously, it was pure violence on the Bulldog choke and everything. And the match as a whole, this cracked me up. So Fernando's eyes, Terrifier 3, they handed out the barf bags at the movie theater. That's actually the movie that inspired me to have that idea. Is the funniest part. I was like, that was a success because it actually, that movie's such a horror flick, but it got people to go because it was like, oh, there's no way it's that wild.
Yeah, see if you can take it.
And so that is actually what even inspired my original idea there.
It's the whole, the whole mentality of going, don't touch the flame, don't touch the flame. You want to do it because somebody told you not to do it. That's kind of the mentality.
Absolutely. But Archie, I absolutely have to ask you about this one. Between the FTR turn, the most violent spot we've seen, I think, including pizza cutters or glass or about anything, mouse traps, whatever you'd like. What were your thoughts on it? The future of the title? I mean, Swerve has been thrown around a lot. I was glad he stayed far away from that match last night.
Right.
But break the whole thing down for me. Talk to me, Arch.
Well, firstly, I'm happy that actually this time I'm not on my own trying to break down the Death Riders portion of the show. This match, I don't understand why AEW would book a sequel to the Revolution match, which has had so many bad reviews from their own fans. And I thought the Revolution match was actually better than this one because the start you had Cope trying to give a tour of the arena, which gave me bad flashbacks to his match with Edge at Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And it just kind of, like, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of boring. And I'm watching this at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And it's that, it doesn't take much to put me to sleep. But the first over half of that match would have, I don't know how I didn't fall asleep during that. It was just so boring. And then when they got to the ring, it was obviously trying to build to the spike spot, which I absolutely hated. I don't think it was necessary. I think it's one of the most disgusting things that I've seen on AEW TV, and it's not a good thing. It made me feel sick. And I just hated that spot. And then you've got Cope, who's now feuding with Christian, apparently, and then you add the FTR section in there. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. It's convoluted. It just sums up the AEW's main event scene right now. And I just don't get where they're going with this Death Riders storyline. And I honestly, I've said everything I can about the Death Riders storyline, and I've given it enough time. I've tried to give it enough time. It hasn't done it for me, and I don't get where they're going with Copeland. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Sorry. Let me just jot down a quick note. Archie, not bloodthirsty. Okay. Got that one for the future.
I know I'm going to get some. Oh, Archie hates fun. Archie hates fun comments on that. Oh, sue me for not wanting to see Moxley almost get his skin ripped off his back.
Horror movies are a no for Archie.
I'm sorry.
Archie, what fun parties do you think people are going to with the spikes in the back? Like, where do you think?
I don't know.
But I'm just saying,
media,
Archie,
the sickos are loving it.
Not a horror movie guy.
I am a horror movie guy, actually, but it's just like I don't want to.
You can. Is it easier for you to suspend the disbelief?
Yeah, but also I was worried about John Moxley. Why do I want to be worried about the heel in a street fight? I don't want to be worried about. Why don't want to be worried? Because I was worried. What do you mean? When he's pulling the spikes off, it looks like his skin was about to be pulled off.
Couple of pokes. Just rub some dirt on it. He'll walk it off.
Well, I hated it.
I'm kidding, Arch. I totally get where you're coming from, and I'm totally messing with you. But at the same time, I don't hate the over the top violence. It is what it is. Someone just gave us their phone number via comment, that's a Wrestling Republic first. It's a day of firsts here. I've never seen that in my life.
I haven't either.
In the
like
comments, that's such an aggressive play.
That's like Barney Stints and putting his phone number up.
Do
at the
us
Super
a favor,
Bowl.
y'all. Don't post your phone numbers in the comments. Wild move.
Listen,
I'm not even gonna show the comment. That just feels mean.
Listen, here's the thing. Just a word of advice: do not post your credit card number too. Just saying.
Seriously, if you come with address next, I'm gonna be concerned.
Is this a distress number?
Yeah, this is stressing me out more than the spiked.
Yeah, I hope the comment is okay.
Clark,
Yeah,
Clark, I do have to say,
reach out via like DM or something.
Clark, this comment is great though. Tony,
Fernando, friend of the show, absolutely. I hear you. Okay, let's get a little more positive on today's show though, because I really enjoyed this 4-way match, and I thought the finish was creative and fun. I don't know, Archie. I'm gonna give this one to Anthony first because I don't know if you're old enough. No, sorry, I was gonna be a little harsher, and so I actually froze up there myself. I don't think you're old enough to handle this reference, but Anthony sure is. If you remember the commercial, it happened to be Mia Hamm in the commercial with Michael Jordan for Gatorade. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yes.
The idea of Ricochet and Speedball both winning this match, I think sets up for something like that down the road, which is absolutely tantalizing because of their skill sets. That's something I'm excited for. Sorry to throw you under the bus, Arch. This isn't a birth certificate contest, but Anthony, I do want to hear your thoughts on the 4-way as a whole and just a creative finish. That was fun. That to me was one of the highlights of last night was the creativity involved in the double pin and okay, it's like a little controversial. I like that. I like throwing a curveball every now and again, you know. But what did you think?
I mean, honestly, I think part of that stems, Archie, just so you know, I think it's the younger guy thing. I think it was, this is based on me and Clark arguing with Ben over the WrestleMania rankings. I think that's still stemming from that. No, but creative finishes they're unique. Considering how many wrestling matches take place and how much we've seen, was it a goofy way to get to a triple threat or 3-way at Dynasty? Yeah, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with unique finishes. I mean, technically, the person who went for the pin first, in theory, would have been the winner, which would have been Mike Bailey, Speedball. But I'm okay with this because when you look at this in Philadelphia, which I will not be at, but I will be watching, you literally have Omega, Speedball, and Ricochet. Just on paper, that should be a very unique match and very entertaining. So just on that, but unique finishes, this is not directly related, but Clark, again, you would get this. Do you remember it was like 98, 99, somewhere in that range. The Outlaws were defending their tag titles in, I don't know, it was a triple threat or a 4-way. And it was a 4 corners match. And somehow Billy and Road Dogg were both legal.
Didn't they pin themselves?
And Billy pinned Road Dogg to retain. That was a unique and different finish because somehow you could have tagged any person. You didn't have to tag your partner. Somehow they both ended up in. So they pinned each other. And then I think it was the outlaw rule that you couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, they literally were like, okay, that was a one-off.
But again, it was a unique thing. Now, I wish they would have done something at least a little bit different in the sense of they just seem to accept the fact that they both won the match as opposed to some confusion. And then maybe Tony Schiavone goes, I've just heard from, Tony Khan or it's both based on the finish, both men will be challenging Omega. I didn't like the fact that it was just taken as a given, as if that was just normal. That, if a triple threat match, if 2 people get pinned,
tiny bit more explanation would have made more sense. That's fair. I think that's fair.
Just to breathe a little. That would be my only critique in that situation.
But and I agree. I think other than that, though, it was really solidly executed. And Speedball it's been I'm impressed by AEW on this one because they've done a really good job of introducing him to the audience that may not know him compared to some other debuts.
Yes.
They've really, really, really done a good job with that. And then Fernando in the comments here with, I'm calling it now. This triple threat is going to steal the show at Dynasty.
Definitely.
Ooh, very possible.
It's got potential.
Okay, let's pay some bills, though, my friends, really quickly. Let's talk about our friends over at Etsy. You can download the Etsy app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. Even if you got one of those goofy Androids and you bring up the green text in all your buddies' group chats, you can still get this app. Head over to the upcoming streams section every single Sunday. It's like me, Takes, Big Ant, all kinds of wrestling content creators over there. And here's the best part. As long as you got a phone, we can hear you. You don't even have to turn your camera on. You can. I always do make the joke, show your face, just because it's funny. But you can come on audio only and argue with me, all of us, about Cody Rhodes, John Cena, whatever you'd like. AEW, doesn't matter to me. But do pack a lunch if you'd like to argue with me. But check that out, the Etsy app over on the App Store and the Google Play Store. I assure y'all you will enjoy it. Let's get into our third segment of this afternoon, my friends.
Clark, I do have to say one quick thing, and I've been meaning to say this to you when you do this ad read, just so people are clear. When you say Big Ant, it's not me; it's somebody else.
Oh, it's a different one. You're regular Ant.
No, but the audience may not know that.
He's normal sized Ant, and then Big Ant is a large man. You guys actually look nothing alike. If people know Big Ant, they know it's not you.
I understand that, but not everybody knows that when you're watching the show.
They're very confident you guys are not the same. This is actually funny, by the way, though. Fernando said we had a fatal four-way just to determine a triple threat. LOL.
Exactly.
That is actually I didn't think about that.
Yes.
But either way, okay. CEO. Mercedes Moné retains once again against Billy Starks. Archie, I don't know what your thoughts really are on Mercedes, but I didn't mind this match at all, and I thought Billy looked fine. It was a solid match for what it was. We probably need a little bit more out of Mercedes, but you talk to me about this one.
Okay, so Mercedes, her talent is you can't deny that she's got a lot of talent. This match was brilliant. I thought just undeniable chemistry with Mercedes and Billy Starks. I love the story of the kind of young prospect coming up against her idol in wrestling. That picture of Billy and then Sasha Banks has been floating around quite a bit in the build up to this match. So I'm happy they incorporated that into their bout. The match, as I said, was brilliant. Mercedes, I thought, played the heel role very, very well. She played that character of, that kind of never meet your heroes kind of character, and she nailed it. Something I don't think that she actually gets enough credit for is the kind of intricate details that she adds into her matches. She's just fantastic at conveying emotions with just her facial expressions. And I talk about guys like Copeland and Christian that are some of the best at that in wrestling. Mercedes is awesome at that as well. We saw kind of three different versions of Mercedes in this match. We saw a vicious Mercedes, we saw a arrogant Mercedes, and we saw a Mercedes that was worried that she might not be able to put Billy Starks away, and her being able to convey emotions like that added to all those different parts of the match. And Billy Starks, to me, is the future without a doubt in women's wrestling. She's an incredibly easy character to get behind. She's bubbly, she's fun to watch, and whenever you watch her, you know that she gives no less than 100% every time she gets in the ring, and that means that she's just really easy to get behind. I thought the match as a whole was great, and I'd really like to see them run this back on a pay-per-view, because I feel like they left a bit more to be desired, which is fine because I'm sure they're going to have another match in the future, but I'd like to see them run it back on a pay-per-view and properly kind of build towards that Athena match, but which looks like it's coming from what Mercedes said in that backstage segment as well.
I really love the way you just broke that down, especially a couple points that you made when it comes to, I thought Mercedes' frustration was the story of the match. The way you brought that up, her being like, "Oh, why won't she go away?"
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought that was the story of the match
yeah.
and one of the key points. The other one is you talked about the circulation of the picture of them two.
Mm-hmm.
And like the little Mr. Miyagi, little Karate Kid action here.
Yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
I always love any sort of reference to that.
Oh, if I could just point one thing out very quickly is that
Go
what
right
I
ahead.
loved about this is it's a very small thing, but Bailey actually replied or commented on a post that Billy Starks made of promoting this match and said, go and kick her butt for me. Well, she didn't say butt, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yes.
And which is what I absolutely love, because we see it way too often where wrestlers are a bit too afraid to talk about any other promotion other than themselves because of tribalistic culture in wrestling. And it's just let wrestlers talk about other promotions, talk about matches they think are cool in AEW and WWE without having to be worried that some fans are going to be saying, hey, Tony Khan, this person's saying how great WWE is, and hey, Triple H, this person's saying how great AEW is. You know, I'd like to see more from that from wrestlers. So I'm happy that Bailey.
You see it in every other sport. Athletes compliment players on other teams all the time, and that's okay.
It's only really in wrestling.
Okay. The tribalism, I think, is more the fans and that nonsense. I don't necessarily think it's as much between the companies. Between the companies, it might be like a friendly rivalry, but it ain't
the wrestlers somehow in a way that's frustrating. That's where I understand that.
Some of them, most of them, most of them, I don't even get engaged in that nonsense.
Most of them want to publicly support their friends in other promotions, but it's these idiotic fans that kind of just kind of, don't want to say snitch on them, but to kind of tag Tony Khan and tag Triple H, and it's like they don't care about that. Just stop putting so much effort into that and put effort into something else.
100%. But let's get on to our main event here this afternoon. It is Tony time for Megan Bayne, and dang, is Megan Bayne look good. There's comparison city when it comes to Megan Bayne. Not just the Batman villain, I was born in the darkness, but Bill Goldberg, Jade Cargill, all kinds of comparisons when it comes to the dominance. She's got something figured out. If you want to call it lightning in the bottle, feel free. I mean, it's awesome. Toni Storm's involvement in last night's match. I mean, Chris Statlander is no joke.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome.
No joke. And she's also a physical presence.
Yeah.
In the way that Toni is not compared to Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne threw her around like it was lightweights in the weight room. Like it was nothing. And that was wild. And to call out Toni and do all that, here's what I don't want to see is the ultimately confident, super confident Toni. I want to see some spiraling. We're talking about arguably the best actress character in all of wrestling right now 100%. When it comes to her work. And I would love to see her spiraling like, how do I have to wrestle Megan? Not a heel turn, but just portray the proper amount of fear.
Yeah.
No matter the results of this match, and I think it's worth it. Archie, I'm going to go to you first on this, though. First off, Megan Bayne defeating Chris Statlander, obviously huge. And then second, how do you navigate, if you've got the pencil, Megan Bayne, Toni Storm from here on out?
So the first of all, it's awesome to see the women main event, AEW Dynamite. So well done on AEW for booking that. The match was awesome because who doesn't love a King Kong versus Godzilla kind of matchup in wrestling? Just an awesome display of power from both Chris and Megan. Chris Statlander to me is one of the most underutilized wrestlers in AEW. I think she's been booked great by AEW, but she could be booked onto that. She could be seen onto that level of Toni Storm and Mariah May, where at the top of that division, and she's not really been at the top of that division too much. So I think she's been very underutilized. Megan Bayne to me is future face of AEW's women's division. She's got an awesome in-ring style, just an absolute powerhouse in the ring, and a freak athlete as well. And it's interesting you brought up the Jade Cargill comparison, because that's what I was going to say, is that she reminds me of Jade Cargill in a way of whenever Jade makes her entrance into an arena, she's able to kind of command that all eyes are on her just from her presence. And Megan, to me, has that same effect in terms of, when she walks into an arena and makes her entrance to the wrestling ring, she's able to kind of get fans that don't know her to kind of see, whoa, who's this? And I think she's got a ton of potential in AEW. The Toni Storm rivalry, it does interest me, but I have some worries about it, because I like your idea about Toni kind of spiraling. She should be worried that she's facing a powerhouse like Megan. If I'm honest, I'm not too happy to see Megan fighting for the AEW World Title this early on, because I don't know if this is a justified worry or not, but we saw it with, say, someone like Deonna Purrazzo, where as soon as she came in, she was in the world title scene straight away. And then after that, after she lost the match on a kind of B-level pay-per-view, she kind of just went into obscurity a bit. I don't want to see that same thing happen for Megan. So it does kind of concern me a bit that maybe it's a bit too soon to put her in this kind of title scene. And maybe it would have been better to do a rivalry of, say, Mercedes for the TBS title. But without a doubt, I'm interested and excited for Toni and Megan. It's going to be a great match. Toni continues to make me laugh effortlessly when she's on commentary. And yeah, it was a great match. I do have some problems with Megan being in the AEW World Title scene so quickly on, but yeah, that's
I get where you're coming from on the sort of rush to the title picture.
Yeah,
I will say this: if she wins it, I don't have a problem.
No, absolutely
right?
not.
That's the interesting part. I'm in the same boat as you. If we're operating under the assumption she doesn't win, then it's too soon. But if she wins it, I don't necessarily hate it, because Toni can rebound from this, right? The point of this reign isn't for Toni to stand tall like she's the next Roman Reigns for 500,000 days, right? This was the redemption arc against Mariah May.
Yeah.
And that's been paid off. I don't actually have an issue if this turns into a passing of and it doesn't feel hot potato because they've given some time between.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, I agree with you in that I would not be annoyed if they gave the title to Megan. But, I think she can carry it perfectly fine. And it's a fresh champion that we haven't seen in the AEW Women's Division before. And you're making another star straight away.
And if you put the title on her, it adds to the mystique, right?
Yeah.
Because it would be, it's one of those that, this is the way that I would think of it, right? It's a shock victory. It's kind of like if you think about the Patriots in the NFL as a dynasty, right? When they had the tuck rule, they're playing the backup quarterback. They beat the Raiders. They get to the greatest show on turf, the best offense in the NFL, the St. Louis Rams. Of course, there's Spygate, history, classic. They spied on their practice and whatnot. But the Patriots were the biggest underdog in Super Bowl history at that stage.
Yeah.
And when they won, things changed quickly. Suddenly, they were the biggest, baddest team in the league every year. They were the favorites every year. The mystique of how do you beat them in the playoffs, all of that, right? And I think that's something you could do for Megan Bayne, because she's going to head into this match looking dominant as the heel, all of that against somebody as excellent and as outstanding as Toni Storm. If she leaves with the title over her shoulder, she might suddenly be the Patriots or the Bulls or the old Yankees. You know what I'm saying? She might suddenly then be, and it just shoots you into another stratosphere. That's where, because I love the point you made, but I'm like, it almost hinges on the result of the match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the main worry I have, for sure. But I'm more than happy with her winning it, and I hope she does end up winning it.
Absolutely. Now, I will say this. I can see Anthony literally chomping at the bit. Like, if he was chewing gum right
As
now,
always.
it would have lost its flavor by this moment to speak about this subject. So, Anthony, I'm not even going to ask you a question. I'm just going to toss it straight to you. Vent to us, my friend.
Okay. It's very difficult in wrestling to find somebody that has the it factor. You can teach all the moves you want. You can teach all that. There's a presence. There's an aura. I know some people don't like that word, but it's real and it exists. But AEW had that with Jade. They lost that when Jade decided to go elsewhere. Megan Bayne did not have the reaction from the crowd when they brought her in. It was a battle royal or gauntlet, whatever it was. The crowd was like, "Who's this?" Since that time, they've built her up, like you said, Clark, Goldberg-esque. I would say Beth Phoenix back in the day when she came in. No talking, all action. That works. It works with her. You can make her dominant. She has the it factor. They needed to get the title off of Mariah May. I've said this before. I know people won't like it, but it's the truth. I don't really feel the Mariah title reign really did much. I never felt that she truly got out of Tony's shadow. I always felt she's cosplaying Timeless. And you could tell that when Timeless came back. You could tell the difference. Tony is so successful with the Timeless character, almost like a Roddy Piper. She doesn't really need the title. You can put it on her, fine. It's an established person. You can run with it. In my opinion, I don't know if I would give it to Megan Bayne the first go of it. I would see Tony's going confident into this match. I think you could do that, and as the weeks go by, that doubt creeps in. She starts seeing her more and more, and she's going, or especially when she gets in the ring with her. Now, they can go one or two ways. One is Tony gets so desperate during the match, she knows she has to cheat to win. Now, that could lead to a heel turn, because I think an audience could potentially get behind a Megan Bayne, but I don't know if they would get behind her against Timeless, because the fans love that. The unique thing that they have with the Timeless character is, I think the Timeless character could cheat like an Eddie Guerrero, and it's just
still get cheered.
And still get cheered.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fair assessment.
I think you could do that. So for me, I would not have Megan Bayne as the face. I think you got to have Megan Bayne as a heel.
Same.
And when she beats Tony, she has to destroy her. Destroy her.
Yeah.
You need to have a dominant reign as champion. Now, the question is who you get to dethrone her. Again, that's down the road. Possibly, and I'm throwing this out, this may be an early throw, Willow. The one that has always gotten the short end of the stick. They gave her the Owen. They gave her the TBS one. But Mercedes came in. So we got to have you drop it immediately to Mercedes, because that's worked out so well. But I would do it with Willow eventually. But Megan has to have a dominant reign.
Yeah,
she has to destroy Toni Storm. Destroy her. Leave no question. It was almost like Goldberg's return against Brock.
Right. No, dude. Like I agree with literally everything the other said. Like that you just said, other than potentially the losing the first time. I don't even want to see Megan lose the first time. I'd almost rather see her Mack truck Tony be like, you're an actress. You're like, just torture her.
You could do that, but if Tony's cheating to retain, it doesn't particularly hurt Megan. But you only do that if you want Megan as the face. If you want Megan as the heel, and this is also booking wise, if you want Megan as the heel and you have no intention on making her a face, then you, like you said, you Mack truck destroy her, and you have her destroy everybody. But I don't know I don't know who they have in the pipeline that would credibly be able to beat her, because that's the same
Willow.
problem other than Willow, like I mentioned, but you don't do
Willow's
that right
the
away.
one. I think you're right.
I agree. Yeah.
Willow should be the one, but if it's not you need the right person to beat a dominant champion.
Mm-hmm.
The problem WCW ran into with the streak with Goldberg was they had him destroy everybody multiple times. And I've said this before on the throwback. Obviously, Nash is the one who beat him, but the one who should have beat him was DDP at Halloween Havoc.
Right.
That was the match because it was credible, it was believable. Willow is the one who should beat Megan Bayne.
I agree.
Put Toni Storm in a feud with, I don't know, Mercedes. She's got to be away from
That'd be fun as could be. Her and Mercedes would be actually fun as could be.
She needs to get away from the
title picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you because she doesn't need it to be as big of a star as she is. I'm actually, it's funny. It's very rare. I think we're kind of 3 for 3. We're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
But I will say, happy March Madness, everybody. That's going to bring us to the end of today's show. Rock Chalk Jayhawk this afternoon, tonight, depends on where you are. Tomorrow, we're going to be back same time, same place. That's 1 o'clock over on the West Coast. That's 4 o'clock on the East Coast and 8 o'clock in the UK. And of course, 10 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. Thank you so much to everybody that tuned in. We appreciate you so much. Have an excellent Thursday evening, afternoon, the rest of your day, whatever it is. We will talk to you soon. On behalf of me, I guess I already just delivered the ending line, but on behalf of me, Clark, Anthony, and Archie, we'll talk to you soon. Get out of here. Peace. Sorry, Ben.